y'all, it's Rachel here with Kenzie and Jenny on Crazy Quakes. We are going to talk about earthquakes today, the history of some of the worst ones, the science behind them, how to keep yourself safe, and how they have changed the earth. Enjoy. Take it away, Jenny.
Thanks, Rachel. Geez, earthquakes have been happening for forever. On April 18th, 1906, a huge earthquake shook San Francisco. The interesting part is the quake set off many fires, causing the city to burn down in flames. This devastating earthquake killed more than 3,000 people, 500 deaths belonging to San Francisco itself. It also left 225,000 homeless and destroyed over 28,000 buildings. About $400 million were lost to this massive earthquake. Another big earthquake struck Haiti 2 years ago on January 12, 2010. We chose to talk about this earthquake because it is said to be the strongest quake to have hit Haiti in 200 years. Haiti's quake had the magnitude of 7.0 and sent 33 aftershocks with magnitudes of 4.2 up to 5.9. Over 3 million people needed emergency aid. That's one very powerful earthquake. The last quake that I'm going to talk about just happened last year over in Japan. Having the magnitude of 9.0, this giant earthquake left Japan shaking. Setting off over 400 earthquakes, records say Japan hasn't had such a shake for 1,200 years. This earthquake was so massive that it took 1.8 microseconds of the day and killed over 18,000 people. Which makes sense because the people only had an 8 to 10 minute warning until the tsunami came and taking down everything in its path. Due to the tsunami, this quake has made international news. This is sadly because the tsunami damaged some nuclear power plants, making this a very difficult cleanup. I know that I have told you some devastating news, so I'm going to explain the most likely places where earthquakes take place. That way you can be ready. Earthquakes are found in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which includes southern Japan, Philippines, New Zealand, southwestern U.S. like California, Canada, and Mexico. So you could pretty much live quake-free in many places. You just need to pay attention to that ring of fire.
An earthquake is the shaking of the ground caused by an abrupt shift of rock along a fracture in the earth known as a fault. Scientists that study earthquakes are called seismologists. Some famous seismologists are John Milne, Sir James Alfred Ewing, and Charles Richter, whom you may recognize because he created the Richter scale, for which we use to measure earthquakes. The Richter scale is used to rate the magnitude of an earthquake. The magnitude is the amount of energy being released, 1 being the smallest and 10 the largest. On January 12, 2010, Haiti was hit by a massive earthquake measuring at a 7 on the Richter scale. Haiti was completely destroyed. Earthquakes are destroyers of not only buildings, but people's lives. Stay tuned to find out what to do and how to protect yourself if you find yourself caught in an earthquake.
Alrighty, now that you've heard the history and science of earthquakes, you need to get a few tips on how to prepare and stay safe with them. When preparing for an earthquake, you should prepare your car first, because most likely you'll always have it with you. Keep in mind that batteries burn out, so every time you change your clocks forward and backward, it's time to change your batteries too. During an earthquake, always drop, cover, and hold on. Once the shaking stops, it is okay to exit, but never during. Wait it out and then exit. If you are outside, find an open area away from buildings, trees, and such, because the highest casualties aren't from the shaking but from the collapsing of surrounding objects. Also remember that if you see small fires, put them out because they can cause a lot more damage after an earthquake. This leads us to how earthquakes change the world. Kenzie kindly told us how earthquakes occur, but what about the aftermath? Earthquakes can cause buildings to collapse, roads to shift, rocks to block streams, and maybe even troughs and valleys and faults. A big fault you may recognize is the San Andreas Fault that has scarred California land since before America. Also, the 8.8 earthquake that struck Chile in 2010 may have permanently shortened days on Earth. Now that's powerful.
Thank you for joining us on Crazy Quakes. Just remember that the next time you experience an earthquake, duck, cover, and hold on. Have a nice day!